Cynicism has really taken over the online sphere, and it can be a really destructive force, not just in our minds, but in our lives as well. In this video, I'm going to do some thinking out loud about this negativity influence on YouTube, and what I'd like to do about it. So let's look into it. So I've been doing some thinking as to what I'm trying to do on YouTube, and more importantly, what even is to be done on YouTube. Now let me be more specific. I feel like in the more thinker sphere, right, the essayists, the streamers, those types of people, the people who are like really trying to come up with ideas or analyze ideas, there's just this negativity culture when it comes to debunking or criticizing, just on and on. I feel like you open it up, and rather it being a constructive thing of why something is really great or really needed, that's like the vast minority. I think a big part of the reason why this is, of course, is just our own psychology. I think a book I've referenced a million times is called The Power of Bad by John Tierney and Roy Baumeister. And it talks about how negativity captures our minds really well. And I think I've also a million times referenced the book Contagious by Jonah Berger that says the activating emotions like anger and being upset and hating things, that gets more shares, more likes, more comments, etc. So I think all of that's true. But when we're in this sphere, I think a byproduct of that, though, is, by comparison, the things that are more positive end up becoming cliched. They end up becoming cliched and cringe and trite, because when so much of the water is negative, those things that are positive somewhat look disgusting. They look out of place. They don't look like they belong there. So I feel like it leaves us in this really uncomfortable position, which is, what do we do? Right? How do we make this better, but in a way that doesn't kind of condemn our channel, or doesn't condemn the people who agreed with our channel to have no views or no support, or it doesn't go anywhere? It's this kind of catch-22 where do you engage? How much do you engage with the negativity? Right? How much do you frame things in a negative way? Versus how much do you try to make things positive and stand against the crowd? And I think that's a really hard thing to grapple with, particularly in a world where our generation is struggling with a lot of loneliness and isolation. Because when you're surrounded, I mean, how much worse is being surrounded with like all of this negativity than just being alone? Like, if you're just alone playing video games, that's one thing. But being alone and then going on social media and all you see is negativity. You go on and see the people that you're interested in, the people who should be coming up with that, or at least in the past, right? In an idealistic future, in the idealistic world, the same people who would be coming up with ideas that are tearing things down should be the ones building things up, coming up with new ideas, new ways to do things, coming up with creative solutions to our problems. And rather, so much of it is the exact opposite. It's creative ways to take things down, creative ways to criticize, creative ways to debunk. And in that world, where our generation is struggling with all of these issues, it makes it all the more important that we come up with a more positive way to think about things. But the question is how? How do you do that where, in order to get all the likes, and in order to get the views that those ideas need, in order for them to be propagated, in order for other people to watch them and to agree and think about them, you feel like you have to integrate the negativity. You have to make that front and center, how something is bad or different or arouses anger. That is like the big question that's on my mind that I'm trying to figure out, because I would like our channel to some degree to be a kind of bastion of sincerity or a bastion of positivity, optimism in a world that's so much the opposite. Now, that's not to say that I don't ever want to disagree or don't ever want to criticize something, because I think that's important, but I want those criticisms to be more substantive, about something real, something of substance, like I'm actually criticizing something important. But that along with that, it's not tearing down that person, institution, or group based upon something shallow, but based upon like real ideas. And afterward, trying to find something positive there, or trying to find how to change things for the better. How, rather than whatever that thing I'm criticizing being so bad, also, here's the way that it could improve. Here's the way that that thing could be better. And that is the balance that I'm trying to hit. That's the balance I'm trying to strike. So I'm be super curious if, after you watch this, if you have any ideas of how to strike that balance more effectively, or how we as a culture, or we as a generation, can try to foster more of that positivity and less of that cringe mindset when it comes to things that are important and should be grappled with in sincerity and not disregarded like they're trite and cliched. So thanks for looking into it, and I'll see you in the next one.